I'm going to be doing a tarot reading of Hasan Piker and Ethan Klein debating each other. Debate is something that I love. I love observing them. I love watching all kinds of debates. It's my favorite. I love watching people make their points and see people try to counter those points. And also, I love tarot. So, I want to mix the two, and let's just do that with Ethan and Hasan. Ethan Klein is a Cancer, and he is a life path 9. Hasan Piker is a Leo, and his life path is 7. I'm not here to critique heavily either Hasan or Ethan. I want to focus more on what the cards say about this debate. Because trust me, I have all kinds of opinions and all kinds of insults and slurs and horrible things to say about both of these people. So if you want to know my bias, it's kind of that I don't like either of these guys. I think they both are terrible people. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a soul in these bodies. I'm being as charitable as I can here, but I would say that Hasan's traits are, he wants attention, right? He's a philosophical guy, but he's really someone concerned with people liking him and him fitting in and him having attention and him being good looking to some extent so that people like him. I mean, if you've watched him in enough debates, you can kind of see that. Ethan Klein, on the other hand, you don't really see that at all. It's if anything, he seems to not care at all what other people think. He cares what other people think, like as a whole, right? Like he whines. He's always upset about the fact that people don't like him, that people are upset with him, that people think differently from him. But he doesn't care in the sense that he's trying to tailor himself to get us to think of a certain way about him. Hasan, on the other hand, definitely does do that. He wears, gaudy jewelry, especially when he was younger. He works out heavily, but he doesn't do it as a way to be good at fighting or to be a contender in a feat of strength. He works out mostly to try to look more attractive to more people. He makes choices specifically to get people to like him more. I'm trying to paint a picture here for you to understand where Hasan is, just based on his signs. Keep that in mind. So just based on his signs and from what I've observed in his political career. What I intend to do is first, I'm going to ask the cards to just give me a blanket statement on Hasan and Ethan. What I want to know, what I really want to know is what are we getting out of Ethan Klein from this debate, and what are we getting out of Hasan? How should we look at Ethan as we observe this debate, and how should we look at Hasan? What roles do they represent? I'm not going to get into Jungian archetypes for this. That's not the type of research. I think that's the type of research that you would want to do as a follow-up. So I'm focused purely on just what the cards say. All right. So I shuffled them, and I'm just going to pull from the top. This will be Ethan. Beautiful. And I'll do another cut. And this is going to be Hasan. Ooh, interesting. A little backstory. Hasan and Ethan were good friends at one point. And I think it's actually interesting that Hasan got the Six of Cups. Because the way I was looking at it before, and who knows, maybe my mind will be adjusted based on the debate that I watch. But I would assume that Hasan, before learning more about his signs, his path, his now this Six of Cups card that he just got, I would have assumed that he was a bit more of a sociopath. Not literally a sociopath, but more on that route, like more closed off, more not caring about the friendship that ended between Ethan and Hasan. Ethan was crying, and Hasan was kind of rolling his eyes. Now remember, this isn't I'm not trying to critique Hasan by saying this. It's just the best term I could think of to describe a situation like that, where at least when it comes to their relationship, Hasan has way less feelings over it. But what everyone must remember, and this is a psychology thing, this isn't magic, astrology, tarot stuff. This is psychology. That oftentimes, if you are expressing being closed off or being nonchalant or not caring, it's because deep down inside you care so much. And really, I mean, okay, he's a 7 and he is a Leo. I think he cares very much about what Hasan thinks, or about what Ethan thinks. I think he cares very much about the fact that their friendship ended over some, I guess maybe some bullshit or something. Now, Ethan, on the other hand, the Wheel of Fortune, which is it seems, I mean, the way I would take it, drawing the Wheel of Fortune for Ethan, the life path 9, I think this debate is going to come down to what Ethan wants. I think Ethan wants the debate to go a certain way, and, he is producing it, so it would make sense that he would be kind of driving it. And in some ways, I think maybe there is some level of comfort that Hasan might get out of this. Not comfort that is going to make them friends again. I have no idea where this is going to go. I've only seen the Nazi sword thing. It was not a good start for this debate. It's not a good start for their friendship if it's possible to rekindle this. And it's very likely, I think it's very likely that Ethan has the ability to either make them actually cool again or make them hate each other. That's what I'm getting out of it. Now, the way I'm going to do it is I'm just going to start drawing cards for each of them as they debate. I'm just going to wait for beats, wait for moments that feel right. On top of that, I also have an oracle deck with me. I will be using this oracle deck to maybe try to see what's going on in the painful elements of their lives. Are they in pain? And in what way are they in pain? And what I'll say about this deck is that it's way more difficult to decide what the fuck it all means. I haven't messed with this deck at all. I've had this deck for years, and I've barely used it. The Fanted Pack. And just to get an idea, what's up with Ethan, huh? The blue dog. And what's up with Hasan? Insects. Ooh. See, I've been getting this whenever I even just randomly pull pull this deck out, the insects have come up every single time, including today when I was just doing some test footage. So you can probably expect senseless talk from Hasan. And from Ethan, you can expect possibly disease, various types of disease. And I think, the insects being Hasan and Ethan being the Wheel of Fortune, it makes sense because I can see a lot of false hope in Hasan and how this debate is going to go. If Ethan is running the show and Hasan is someone who wants to look good, he's not going to get what he wants from this debate. That's what I'm picking up on. As for Ethan, I think this is possibly going to make him more high on his own supply. And I think he's going to totally lose grasp of reality of his life, like lose grasp of what's going on in his life. Oh, that's just what I'm picking up on from the blue dog, the insects, and the Six of Cups, and the Wheel of Fortune. This is what these things are telling me. All right? So let's watch the debate and do our best.
Well, I'm doing a debate. What about you?
That's what I'm doing as well. All right. Wait, hold on. Oh, are you going to show me all the time as well on the Zoom call?
Here, I can fix that. 1 second. Let me just set it to Ethan's output here.
If you want,
there you go.
If you want, just show not just Ethan, but yourself as well. If you're going to talk, that's fine.
Hey,
I don't know if it's
Hasan,
gonna be too difficult.
leave the production notes to my team. You can switch your show how you like.
Well, they were my coworkers as well, Ethan.
Well, it's been a
for 2
while, my
years.
friends, and guess
Yeah, I know.
what? They are not now.
No, I know.
So let's start. I mean, so you did this content cop, right? And I mean, did that go how you expected? It didn't seem to hit very hard.
Before,
I think that's already, that's why I fucking love this shit. All right. I think that's an immediate kind of like a little boost right there to say, yes, Ethan is running the show. Hasan wants there to be some loyalty from the people that he once worked with a year ago. It's not there. They are Ethan's employees. They don't really seem to have the warmness that you're expecting from them. That might hurt his feelings a little bit, because if you expected that and it's not there, you might be a little upset. But remember, Hasan is not someone who likes to express his emotions. He doesn't think it's a good look to do that. Ethan doesn't care. He will express his emotions all he wants. He will cry in the middle of a stream. That's just how he is. And he'll cry over things that really to many people is like, why are you crying, dude? You should calm the fuck down. Hasan, on the other hand, if he's going to cry, it's going to be over something that he thinks will make him look good if he cries over it. It doesn't mean that he's incapable of crying or feeling sadness, but I think that will always be at the forefront of his mind. I think Ethan running the show is not, like I said, it's not going to go well for Hasan. Doesn't matter if Hasan is in the right or if he makes the best points possible. Ethan's running the show.
Before we get started, can I lay some ground rules so we can have a productive conversation?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Can I lay ground rules? Yes, you may. He wants to create rules, but Ethan is the one who decides that he can create these rules, and Ethan will likely either allow that to be the rule or not. That's it.
So first and foremost, I think we should define what Zionism is and what you mean by Zionism and what I mean by Zionism.
Zionism is the belief that Jews should have their own homeland in the historic Palestine area. That's it.
Okay. All right. So I believe that Zionism is a religious ethno-supremacist ideology that revolves around the exterminationist policies of removing the indigenous population that lived in, as you said, historic Palestine, as long as they are not Jews, because it's a religious, ethno-religious supremacist ideology. I think that this is a disagreement that you and I have.
No, I agree with you.
I
agree with you. If you want to add that, the genesis of Zionism included, the displacement and the ravaging of the culture that existed there, then I would agree with you. I mean, I don't think that the establishment of Israel was a good thing. I mean, it was tragic and a lot of bad things happened. But let me ask you, sir.
Okay.
How was filming that content? I just have to know what you felt, what you were thinking as they were doing the Fortnite L behind you.
We'll get to that. We'll get to
No,
that.
no.
We're
We're here. I don't want to talk about
Okay.
definitions. You got your Zionism, and let's do the.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was fine.
Did you did you not? You didn't.
I've participated in other YouTube videos as well in the
No,
past.
but that
you know?
Fortnite
Some of
L
them-
dancing.
Some of them feature sketches.
I noticed
Okay.
you weren't in the other shots. Why was that?
I think I was being interviewed
Oh, really?
by
Who was
the
interviewing you?
journalist while that was happening.
Really?
I can't. I don't remember.
Really? Oh, that's convenient. I think you were embarrassed, frankly. You were absent from every other shot. I think you saw
Wait,
him doing
why
that.
would I be-
I think you saw him doing that Fortnite dance, and you said, "I got to get out of this." And by the way,
No, I
I'm
don't
giving you
care.
credit for that.
I mean, Ethan, you're a comedian. You know, you participated in some sketches. You know, it
Nothing that
happens.
I mean, yeah, shit. Yeah.
Really? You're one of your most famous sketches. You in a fucking diaper? Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, we've done funny things.
Okay, you know what? Let's not debate
Yeah.
the merit of our comedy. You're right. I'm very hacky, and so are you.
So-
By the way, you believe that the
that's
likes
fine.
were botted on that.
What?
You had said you thought the likes were botted on the content cops. You still believe that?
What? The likes were botted on the content cop?
The
I don't- I have
dislikes
no
were
idea.
botted. The dislikes, sorry. Yeah, you said it was brigaded and was botted. And it was unnatural. The dislikes on the video.
I don't really care about this. I don't know. I mean,
Well,
I
I'm
don't,
asking-
I
I
don't
don't
recall
care if-
saying this, but I don't know why
You
this is a
did say
major
it.
point of contention. All right, so you
No,
asked that question.
Okay, well, I mean, this is kind of straightforward here. At the very least, Hasan drew the justice card, and that has exactly to do with what he's mainly concerned with, at least from the get-go of this debate, which is justice. Like, literally, the issue of Zionism, to him, to define it properly, is going to help us lead to justice. And this is a big part of the Palestinian side when it comes to debate, is to help remind people that Zionism is an ethno supremacist sort of ideology. It's a belief that Jews have a right to their own ethno-state. Whatever you think of it personally, I'm just here reading what the cards say. This is what Hasan is really trying to get at, really trying to approach this debate with a sense of justice. Ethan Klein, I think, is approaching this debate with more of a sense of what one might call nuance, another might call centrism, another might call grounded reasoning, and that's why he got the temperance card. Temperance is alchemy. It is combining things to create a third way, almost. I mean, fascists. And at least economically speaking, the fascists were into third way economics, right? So it doesn't mean... I say that to remind you that the third way is not always the right way. It is not a morally sound way. It is a valid way to try to approach issues because there is wisdom in understanding that there is truth on both sides to some degree, in some way. Even the craziest perspectives, you might find some truth if you at the very least listen. So I think it would benefit greatly if Ethan wants to be nuanced about this. If he wants to look at it from both sides, then he actually has to do the due diligence and listening to both sides. I think because, he's Wheel of Fortune, I think he's approaching this with the assumption that he's already done this. If you want to look at both sides, looking at it from the perspective of an extremist is also part of that. Ethan looks at Hasan as being an extremist. And to him, that makes Hasan inherently incorrect. Technically, the problem with that, and, we are drawing on the blue dog, so remember, any positive traits of any card, or what people perceive as positive, it doesn't mean that it's actually working out for them. But at the very least, the perspective that Ethan wants to push is let's look at it from both sides. And to him, that means extremists are inherently incorrect because they don't look at it from both sides. They look at it from an extreme perspective. To me, Wheel of Fortune and Temperance together really show this doubling down. It's what some people might call radical centrism. It's like you can't ever give a possible nod to the potential validity of even the most extreme positions. Now, that this doesn't mean that we have to embrace Nazism or radical Islam in order to be nuanced. But if you look at why Nazis do what they do, or why the radical Muslims do what they do, it may help significantly in crafting your own ideas about how to deal with these problems, if they even are a problem.
No.
Let's get back to some other definitions.
Hold on, let me finish, and then you can do your definition.
Okay.
Did you think it was?
Well, it's not my definition. I want to hear your definition.
That's fine. I'll answer how you like.
I hope you know that, I don't know if you know this, but I didn't publish the content cop. iDubbbz did.
Yes, I know that, and I've addressed him
good.
thoroughly.
All right,
do you know that? Do you believe he should have included the context of the CPS call?
What?
What? You don't know what I'm talking about?
Wait. I'm a little confused. You are asking me
Yes.
what my opinion is
On the video.
iDubbbz's content cop.
Correct. That's correct.
About the CPS? I don't know. Maybe. Sure. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I think it was more so about like your year-long conquest of deplatforming and also
Right. Well, 90% of the clips were from the episode entitled CPS Came to My House, Hasan. I don't know if you think that's an important detail. I sure do.
Ethan, I think you know my position on this, as I've made it very clear. I think it's completely inappropriate to fucking call
No.
CPS.
That's obvious.
I think it's
I'm
completely
saying your
inappropriate to call
friend
CPS
Hasan you
on a
made a
content
video
creator you
with
don't like.
did
I
a
don't know why
total fucking
I don't know
hit
why you
job.
think I have
All right, go
any
ahead.
hand
Ask me a
in this.
question.
I don't have any,
Go ahead.
Listen to me. Listen, we're both content creators online. We both have received an endless wave of harassment. You and I have talked privately about
Hasan,
this.
I don't care. Let's just go on.
What do you mean? You brought this up. You brought it up. Hold on.
I know what you're
Let me
saying. We've all been
brought it up.
harassed. The internet
Let
is
me bring-
tough. Whatever,
let me
yada
say my
yada.
piece.
Ask me a question.
No. Please, Ethan, please.
Because you're so
Please.
boring, bro. I just want to have an interesting conversation.
You know
Go
who
ahead.
else also told me that? Andrew Tate. Please, just hold on.
Wow,
and let me
wow,
try
God
to
forbid.
explain my position to you. You and I are both content creators. We get an endless wave of harassment, doxing, swatting, all of this stuff, okay? Sometimes by the same people, ironically enough, by the same communities. You and I know we've had these conversations in private before we stop doing our podcast. And you know my position on this. I think it's completely
I know
unacceptable.
you're
because I
against
am victim to the
CPS.
same
That's
exact
not
things that happened to you in this regard. I would never in a million years advocate
ask
for
me a
that sort of
question.
thing and don't think it's appropriate.
Very
and
good.
I don't
Ask
know
me a
why you
question.
think that I have anything to do with
Because
this.
you're not you're misrepresenting what I asked you. I didn't ask you, do you think it's okay that people called CPS? I asked that the video that you participated in, which was a total fucking hit job that used 90% of its clip from an episode of the podcast called CPS Got Called on Me and didn't even include the title of the podcast. Now, do you think that's fair?
I think you should take this up with iDubbbz instead of me.
Okay, sure. Ask me a question.
Yeah, I didn't make any of the editorial decisions in iDubbbz's content cop.
I'm asking what you thought about it, okay? Not if you made it. It's pretty fucking pretty
Sure,
obvious. Go ahead, ask me a question.
I'm sure it would have been. I'm sure that I'm sure that it would have been all right if he mentioned it.
It would have been all right?
I don't know why this is a major point of contention for you. I thought we were going to talk about Israel-Palestine.
We're talking about whatever we want to talk about. You had said that I have problems with your character. That's what I'm talking about. Go ahead, ask me a question.
But you having problems with my character.
Hasan, ask me a question, or I'm going to move on to the next topic
From you
here.
asking me about iDubbbz's editorial decisions.
Interesting that Ethan's fixated on repeating, ask me a question. This is the second time I'm watching this part of the debate, and I'm still confused as to why he's doing that, other than he's kind of caught in a loop, and Hasan doesn't recognize that, because Hasan is in his own defensiveness, trying to make a point. But anyways, the cards that I drew, I drew the High Priestess for Ethan, and I drew the Ten of Swords for Hasan. I'll just make a quick note on that and then kind of move on. I kind of see this as maybe Ethan, a big problem he's going to have is fucking paying attention at all to Hasan. I think Hasan really is not I mean, this is a 5-hour podcast, right? This is a 5-hour debate. It might be that Hasan is supposed to just stop trying to defend himself in these situations. Now, Ethan and Hasan are going to keep egging each other on. They're going to make this they're going to try to make this like all about their own feelings about the thing. They're not going to listen to each other. Hasan is not going to address Ethan's points. Ethan is going to see Hasan's defense as inferior and going to make Ethan feel a little bit more into himself. And I think Hasan also is going to constantly want control over this factor and try to make himself look good. I think that is a major continuous problem for him. He cannot take an L, and Ethan can't either, but Ethan's in control here.
In his content, Cobb,
I'm asking about your opinion on it. Go ahead, ask me a question.
Okay. So, do you believe that Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza?
Yes.
Okay, great. Awesome. So you agree with with numerous human rights organizations, the UN?
I already said yes.
Okay, great. No, that's important. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I also agree on this. If you believe that Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza, okay, do you feel like you have used your limited amount of time that you have as a content creator speaking out against Israel doing a genocide on the Palestinian population living in the Gaza Strip? Or do you feel like most of your commentary on that issue has overwhelmingly been to rail against people that are doing that?
Sure.
Pro-Palestinian advocates that
I
you
don't know
feel like you've been wronged by, myself included.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but if you're pro-Palestine, it doesn't absolve you of criticism. That's something that you guys keep harping on.
Do I think my coverage? I don't think that's the case. I don't think that is the case.
Okay. Do you think my coverage has been like totally balanced? I would say no. I've obviously given less time to the Palestinian perspective, and I think the reason for that is simply that.
No, not just the Palestinian perspective, Ethan. I think that rather than talking about that issue in and of itself, rather than talking about the genocide itself, every time you have
Hasan, I'm answering your question.
Every time you've talked about Israel-Palestine, it almost always revolved around.
I was going to tell you why. Do you want to let me answer?
Personal vendettas that you have experienced
I was
from
going to explain
pro-Palestinian
that.
content creators.
Okay. Would you like me to? You asked me a question, so I'm going to answer
Yeah.
it. The reason
Go
for
ahead.
that being is that I feel like I'm responding to a lot of bullshit that's been passed my way ever since Leftovers ended, starting from you and your community. Now, that's my answer to that. Now, let me ask you about this. This sword has a Nazi swastika hilt.
Okay.
Do you disagree? What's funny about that?
I think it's funny because you've made this a major point of contention. That's why I think it's funny.
It's a swastika, is it not?
Yeah, it's a sword that is a bleed sword, as you know already. That has a hilt that has a Japanese Manji sign on it. But yes, it does look like a swastika, as I've also noticed and have talked about on numerous occasions that you've brought forward. On your
Of course, you're
podcast already.
conceding that because we fished this up. But yeah.
Such as when I made fun of, I believe it was Alexa that grabbed it, and I said, "Oh, you immediately go for the swastika one." Yeah, exactly. Do you think?
Anyway, my point is, Hasan, if I can continue my point, is that you knew it was a swastika sword. So why did you guys choose to pose with this sword?
Ethan,
answer that. Why was the choice made for this sword?
I'm gonna gently explain this to you again. One, it's not a swastika, but regardless.
Do you think it looks like a swastika?
I did not make this editorial decision. I wasn't even.
Do you think it's reasonable to perceive that as a swastika?
Ethan,
answer the question. Is it reasonable to perceive that?
I don't think it was a deliberate decision that IDubbbz made, but I don't know. I don't know.
Hasan, they're your swords, and according to the New York Times article, there was 10 options. So what's the chances that they chose the swastika one? That seems pretty slim.
Well,
you have 10 swords, don't you?
The week prior to that, I believe. I don't know the exact timeline. I don't really remember when they shot this, but I had the sword out because I was doing an Assassin's Creed promo. Do you feel like if I thought it was like genuinely a swastika sword, I would use it in an Assassin's Creed promo shot?
Yes. That's what we call a dog whistle, Hasan. And what you're doing is gaslighting somebody. You made a video.
You think I'm
Let me make a point here,
with
Hasan, because you're the king of microaggressions and understanding the perspective of minority
This is
groups.
true.
Right?
This
So
is
you
true.
made a video. You participated in a video accusing a
Okay,
Jewish.
wait,
Let me
hold on.
finish my point,
I'm gonna let you
Hasan.
finish that.
No,
I'm gonna let you
no.
ask the question.
Stop.
Can I
You are
just
making
say-
a video
can I
accusing
just
a
ask you
Jewish
again?
man
You
of
think-
exaggerating
you think I
anti-Semitism
used
while
a-
exhibiting the most hateful symbol against Jewish people. Do you not see this as a problem? Or at least,
Ethan,
am I
couldn't-
insane
couldn't
for
hear
thinking this is
anything
odd?
you said. Ethan, take a deep breath.
Answer the
Okay?
question. I don't need
Take a
you to
deep breath.
console me.
I didn't even hear your question. I need you to.
Well,
I
you
need
should try
to answer
listening instead of
something.
speaking.
I'm just looking for clarification here. Do you think that I deliberately
Yes.
was using a dog whistle in an
Yes.
Assassin's Creed promo, or that it was a cool sword that was laying around because it's the only long sword that I have?
You have 10 swords.
I know they're heavy. That's not a real sword.
So yes, I'm aware that it's not a real sword, but you had 10 to choose from. What does it matter how much they weigh?
Yeah, the other ones are heavy.
Let me
Ethan.
paint a
I'm
scenario.
waving that
Let
shit
me
around.
paint, Hasan, let me paint a scenario for you, okay?
Okay, I need to comment. Six of Swords, I mean, kind of funny, right? Ethan is very fixated on the sword thing. I think what I'm getting from him drawing the Six of Swords and also drawing the Judgment card, you know, I mean, that kind of goes, why even spend that much time talking about it? But I think him getting that Six of Swords thing is like, okay, you've made your point. Try to figure out how to wrap this up. Now, this I wouldn't say that this necessarily applies to this exact point in the argument, but it's probably going to reach a point. I don't know. I'm going to guess maybe around here where Ethan's point has been made, and Hasan is definitely not aware of how bad his current argument sounds. I think Ethan is making a very good point here for at least normal people, that the Swastika Sword thing is kind of insane. Especially because you acknowledged that it was a Swastika Sword in the video that you did this. And he keeps trying to create these like really thin defenses regarding, well, you know, it's a cool sword, that's why I have it, that's why I was picked. And it's like, but you have 10 swords, you acknowledge it's a Swastika Sword, this is you trying to somewhat intimidate Ethan. Ethan's been very upset about Nazism and all of these things and anti-Semitism. No one's, I mean, some people who want you to be in the right no matter what is probably the only people that you're convincing here. That it's crazy to assume that you intentionally were trying to be like dog whistly in some way or another with the Swastika Sword. The fact that he has the sun here is very interesting, because I think in Hasan's mind, and this is like the way of being defensive when it comes to edgy humor, is that in Hasan's mind there is an inherent protection of his very like niche worldview, that he is revered, or he will be defended in the comments maybe of Reddit and all of these things, and that's possibly how he sees this world and the world of politics, where it's all going on in forums. Not everything, obviously, especially with Hasan, who is above forums, but the people he interacts with all the time are in the chats, they're in the comments section. They're people who lean into those things, like the people in real life that he seems to spend a lot of time with are also Twitch streamers or commenters or YouTubers. You know, this is kind of their world. So you can see like a filter on his analysis on things, including a situation like this where he's more concerned with what his people are saying. Oh, it's not a Swastika Sword. Hasan is totally not a Nazi. Ethan's the Nazi. He's a Zionist, and all of these things. I don't think he really grasps that that's not really how anyone else sees it. That's not how Ethan's fans see it. That's not how fence sitters see it. That's not even how people might, like me. Like I said, I dislike both of these people. So to me, this is, very easy to be unbiased on. I have a slight bias towards Hasan on politics. I mean, I'll just be open about that. And I have a slight bias towards Ethan on like overall like character. I think they're both bad, right? I think they're both bad at arguing. I think Hasan at one point was a little bit better at arguing, and I don't know why he's. I think it's because, like I said, he had a very high hopes for himself and the turnout of this debate, and I think this sword thing immediately is kind of derailing him and making him realize this is not going to go well for him. He doesn't know how to critique himself, especially to someone like Ethan. Someone who he had viewed as a Zionist probably up until this point, and I don't know how he'll feel after this. It's very possible that Hasan is just caught off guard here, has no idea really truly how much damage he's doing to his own reputation. He's possibly building his reputation among a very particular type of crowd, but he's possibly losing any possible respect that anyone could have had for him. And this kind of creates contradictions in a Leo 7 kind of guy. I kind of feel like these contradictions can't really. This is the problem with people in general, right? Like if you guys, I'm a Virgo, I'm a 3, I'm a this, I'm a that. If you only focus on one element of these signs, then you're not going to get all the other signs. If you're so worried about how you look, but you're also really concerned about the niche crowd that you're trying to look good for, well, naturally, you're going to look bad to everyone else outside of that niche. Depending on how he handles the next 5 years worth of politics and conversation and political correctness, it's very possible that he's going to lose favor within that crowd, and then he's only going to have favor from his day ones, like the people who have just been enjoying his content for years, and will just be fans no matter what. So I don't think there's a downfall coming at all. But I think as far as Hasan possibly being someone who could have appealed to the mainstream, I think he's losing that particular battle. And that will, of course, make him double down on appealing to the niche. It's up to him within the next 5 years to never lose ground with that niche.
Listen, okay, this is important. You participated in a video accusing a Jewish man of exaggerating anti-Semitism. You exhibited in that video the most hateful symbol against Jewish people. 1 out of 10 of your swords that you have previously already stated is the, quote, Swastika Sword. So am I insane for even... You're treating me like I'm insane for bringing this up, but it sounds pretty reasonable.
I mean, it's a little insane.
So
yes.
microaggressions just don't exist for Jewish people.
You're asking me why iDubbbz.
It's your sword, bro.
Decision,
I don't believe that you weren't there.
I'm not iDubbbz.
You were there, bro. It's in your fucking house.
I don't know why you're asking me.
Because it's your house and your sword.
But I also gave you what my speculation is, and that is that
it was just a cosmic chance.
I previously had it laying around because I had just done an Assassin's Creed promo.
Okay, if you say so. So if it's a cosmic fluke, which you claim, then why leave the photo up?
I'm not even in the photo. I
know,
right?
It's in your room though, and with your sword. Why leave the photo up if it's a cosmic fluke?
Wait, why are you asking me this question? I don't know. I'm not. Ethan.
I'm sorry, Hasan. Are you unable to make value judgments on situations? Like, isn't that what you do for a living? Do you think that iDubbbz should have removed?
I don't think it's relevant or that big of a deal at all. If that's what you're trying to get out of me, I think it's not.
Okay, so you're telling a Jewish man who's complaining about a very odd coincidence that I'm crazy and I'm exaggerating.
Over the Manji on it, Ethan. Can we? Okay, you got me. All right. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, you got me. I put a swastika in the video calling you out for exaggerating anti-Semitism.
You got me.
Yes, you did. You literally did.
I didn't do that.
Okay, laugh
But
about it.
again,
Go on.
It's not a swastika. And
Then
I
why
don't
should you
even
leave it
think you
out?
have that much of an issue with swastikas, considering you drew one on PewDiePie.
I'm a Jewish man, you fucking moron.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Is
the
anyone in
Nazis
that
only
room
killed
Jewish?
Jews.
Was anyone in that
room?
room? Did I draw
The Nazis
swastika
only
one
killed
time
Jews
on?
then? Do you think that Jews have an exclusivity agreement with like being offended or not offended by Nazi imagery? You've done a Sig Heil approximately what 50 times.
Why did I do a Sig Heil? Why did I do a Sig Heil?
I don't know.
Because you only watch clips on Twitter. I was making fun of Elon Musk and trying to see if it was valid or not.
Oh, thank you.
And by the way, as a Jewish man, are you going to tell black people not to use the N-word?
Wait, what?
Are you going to tell black people not to use the N-word because it offends you?
Do you think this is an apt comparison?
Yes.
Okay. So you think that being able to draw this, your anti-Semitism radar is completely out of whack.
And who are you to say that to me? You pose with a swastika.
You're saying that it's not a swastika, and you know it's not a swastika.
I mean, it literally is a swastika.
No, it's not.
Let me see the swords in your background. Why didn't you choose one of those ones?
I didn't choose the sword, Ethan.
I don't believe you.
Do you think this is a productive use of our time?
Absolutely. So anyway, you say it's a weird cosmic fluke. Personally, if I think it was a weird cosmic fluke, you say basically it's not a swastika. The difference between the Hindu symbol and
but it's not.
Okay, right. The difference between the Hindu symbol
What
and
you
the
drew on
Nazi
PewDiePie,
swastika.
on the other hand, was a swastika.
I'll finish what I said. Yeah, I'm a Jewish man. I pitted a
All right,
swastika,
cool.
a tasteless joke
I'm just
on
making sure. Okay,
IDubbbz
so
shirt 10 years ago. You
Yeah.
said this is the swastika sword, and you keep it in your house, and you use it and pose it in photos, attacking a Jewish man. The fact that you can't
I
even concede that
jokingly
looks
referred
bad.
to it as looking like a swastika when my friend picked it up.
So
if I genuinely thought it was a swastika memorabilia, do you think I would keep it in my house?
Dude, you're being so obtuse. I know it's not a swastika, right? And I know you know it's not a swastika, but it is literally a swastika also. Because the difference between a swastika and that Hindu symbol is this. You see what I'm doing? This is the difference. If you ask a Hindu person, would they walk around with a swastika sign?
Wait, so you know it?
Fuck
So you
no,
know
they
it's
know
not
that looks like a
but you keep calling it
swastika.
swastika sword. So I'm a little confused.
Ask your Hindu friends if they would walk around with like a swastika brandished. They know.
Okay.
Are you Hindu?
I am not Hindu.
Okay, interesting.
No.
So anyway, it was a cosmic fluke.
Do you think
brandished
that
what
only,
I.
do you think that only Hindu people have bleach swords? Like, what's going on?
We're discussing the symbol, not the sword. Okay, go ahead. So you think it was a cosmic fluke? There was 10 swords. He magically picked that one.
I can't. I'm speculating
and,
on
he left
the
it up.
decision making
If
of
it was a mistake,
person
he could have
who
deleted it.
I'm not him.
Go ahead,
I don't
ask
know.
me-
Again, I'm going to repeat myself here. I think I'm doing.
You don't
this a
need to.
lot.
Go ahead.
I am not.
Ask me the next
IDubbbz.
question.
I don't know what was going on.
I'm not
in his
accusing you of being
mind.
IDubbbz, Hasan, but you're acting like you're incapable of making value judgments on things because you're not
No, because
IDubbbz.
I already made the value judgment. I think you're being crazy.
Okay, well, Mr. Microaggressions thinks I'm being crazy. Very good. You have no problem telling Jewish people they're being crazy on what?
Yes.
It's like a blatant fuck. Go ahead, ask me the next
Yes.
question.
Yes, I don't.
Do you
I
think
don't
the
have a
if you
problem
could go
telling
back-
you're being crazy
If-
right now.
if-
You being Jewish has nothing to do with this.
Sure, I'm sure it doesn't. Do you think going back that it was a mistake to use that sword?
I don't really care about this at all.
Okay, fantastic. Well, that really shows where
I
you're at on this.
genuinely-
Go ahead,
I
ask me
don't
a
care.
question.
Okay. So, since you believe that Israel is committing a genocide, what are the appropriate steps that people can take, both in the Western world and also regional actors can take against this entity doing a genocide by your own admission that you would consider to be appropriate? Because it feels like throughout this entire process, you have set boundaries on what you think
Just
is
killing
inappropriate.
civilians, that's the boundary.
As you have set boundaries on what you think is inappropriate.
Killing civilians.
And time again has said is outright anti-Semitic.
My boundary is killing civilians.
Okay, that's great. So
Is that unreasonable?
That's a perfectly reasonable boundary to set.
Okay, good. So
I
then we don't
totally agree
disagree.
with you on that. Great.
Great.
Okay.
So let me ask you the next
So,
one. Let me ask you about this
from-
Tabris tier,
wait, hold on,
tier
hold on.
list.
I have a. Let me finish.
Well, you asked and I answered. Go ahead. You could go on a little bit more.
Okay, so hold on. Everyone is complaining about my volume on my side because we're using Zoom instead of Discord. So my fucking
Go ahead.
audio.
It's fine. Take your time to get the
my
audio
audio
right.
keeps going up and down. Okay. So, one of the first conversations that we had, you and I had, that led to the Leftovers podcast ending, was that you considered "From the River to the Sea, Palestine will be free" to be an anti-Semitic slogan. You said that Jews feel like this is an exterminationist slogan, and Jews fear this slogan in the United States of America.
Correct.
If you think that Israel's doing a genocide, do you feel like it is appropriate for Westerners in the United States of America and Palestinians and people of Palestinian descent to be able to use emancipatory slogans, or should they go to jail under the Trump administration?
Okay, I mean, these are pretty extreme questions. Now, I'm not making a value judgment. I'm just trying. All I
don't
was
think
trying to
it's an
do.
extreme question. It's what's happening right now.
Do you want me to answer?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to explain the Jewish perspective. I'm not trying to make a value judgment of it. But what I will tell you is that, how do you feel about Norm Finkelstein?
All right, before they get into Norman, I think it's time to look at that. I decided, you know what, it's better because of how long this thing is. I'll probably have to bracket it into different parts. At the very least, what we got with Ethan, we'll just try to do one by one. 6 of Pentacles. And then drawing on that, throughout the conversation, we got a reverse 2 of Pentacles. A reverse Hierophant. And a 2 of Cups. And for Hasan, with Hasan, we got 7 of Pentacles. The Death card. One of Swords. And the 3 of Cups. This is a lot. You know, something that a mild theme. I'm not going to say a complete theme, but this is something that has been happening a lot in these readings so far. A lot of cards that are next to each other, close to each other. I mean, 2 of Cups with the 3 of Cups, 6 of Pentacles with the 7 Pentacles. And what you'll notice in this entire conversation, I'm looking at Ethan's cards right now, and looking at Hasan's cards, what I'm getting is that they're failing to listen to each other. And in many ways, because these cards are so close to each other, this is probably the most that they are unified in the fact that they are incapable of listening to each other. It doesn't seem to matter what these folks say. They already have their own idea of how the conversation should go on this topic. And so that's all they really care about. They're going to continue fighting. Let me just take another look. I mean, all I'll say for Hasan, remember, he got the Death card and a 1 of Swords. What I would get out of these cards is that Hasan, at the very least, needs to stop defending himself on this topic. He needs to figure out, in some way, how to concede to what Ethan is saying. Without somehow suggesting that he himself is a Nazi or that he's a terrible human being. And I don't think Hasan is able to do that right now. I think Hasan needs to figure it out. This is a massive challenge to him. But I think Hasan really is failing to understand his need to take an L. You know, this is something that in debate is a very massive issue with everyone involved in debate. When you enter debate mode, to you, somewhat, it's not about truth, it's about ideas. And a Life Path 7 is a truth seeker, so this is not something that Hasan will be able to successfully do. He cannot, with a straight face, tell Ethan that there is absolutely nothing to connect between carrying a swastika sword and trying to not come across as an anti-Semite, right? If you're not trying to feed into it, like, you know, one of Ethan's biggest problems that actually created the wedge between them is that Ethan feels that Hasan is allowing anti-Semitism to infect his ideas, infect his world at the very least. Hasan does not take that point seriously at all. But he allowed someone to wield a swastika sword, his swastika sword, and he called it a swastika sword. And now he's trying to argue that it's not a swastika. And he's actually like rolling his eyes and saying, "You really gonna call it a swastika? It's not a swastika." That is very impossible for most people to take seriously. Most people would probably think, Hasan, what are you, an actual Nazi? That's weird that you're you can't admit that that's fucking insane. And at the very least, it makes sense that a Jewish man would be incredibly offended. And also in the background, and they're probably going to get into this, is that CPS was called on Ethan by one of Hasan's colleagues, or not colleague, but like one of his friends or people that he does content with, who is on the Palestinian side, or it was encouraged by her. It wasn't that she did it herself. She just encouraged it to happen among her streamers, like live in the moment. So Hasan doesn't want to probably talk that much about it or defend it or whatever. I don't know too much about the background on what he has said about it, if anything at all. But he seems at the very least lukewarm about it currently. He just said he doesn't endorse calling CPS on anyone. But then he immediately made it about himself by saying, "I've been through stuff, you've been through stuff, we get it." I mean, do you have a child that the government is threatening to take away because people don't agree with your political viewpoints? No, you don't know what it's like. I mean, you can argue that maybe overall something worse happened to you, but to just simply say, look, I've been trolled, you've been trolled. If the government is coming to your house and saying, we need to do a wellness check, we need to inspect your house and make sure that it's completely safe, we need to do this and that. No, this is clearly a different plane than just being trolled. Now we're getting authorities involved. And in a time of, everyone's afraid of the government. So it's very reasonable to be like, no, the government came to my house because of you people. So I think Hasan needs, the death card to me says it all, and the other cards are just helpful and clarification, but I think Hasan needs to let go of defending himself on this and defending Ian. He says, I'm not Ian, I'm not this, but it's like, well, you're defending him, you're constantly making excuses, you're constantly downplaying the possible fear that Ethan has over Nazism rising in this country. Because if Nazism does infect the left, I think in Ethan's mind, that's like, oh no, then we're totally fucked. If Nazis can get through to the left, then that means there's no vanguard against Nazism other than Israel. That, and in some ways, I would be interested if that's how somehow this argument came to be, or if this argument somehow led to this path, but I don't know if it will.
Love Norm. I know he has said that
Here's what he had to say about this.
I know what he said.
No. I want the audience to see this, Hasan.
Hold on.
Hasan, I want the audience to see this video.
This is not going to be a touch moment for you because I know Norm's position.
Good, I'm glad you know. Let's let the audience know, Hasan.
You know what I mean?
Hey, Hasan, let the audience watch the video.
I can have a nuanced and reasonable disagreement with a person that I actually.
Hasan needs to let go and just allow this to happen.
So it's nuanced and understandable with Norm. Let the audience watch the video, Hasan.
Okay.
Palestine will be free.
Let me go back. Yeah. Here's the Norm Finkelstein, a prominent figurehead in the Palestinian liberation movement.
I don't like the slogan.
I know. I have more positions that I agree with him on this as well.
Be free. I think it's a bad slogan. I know the slogan from the 1960s, the 1970s. It was a bad slogan then, and it's a bad slogan now because it has too much ambiguity. When you say from the river
Someone's going to hit me with the chair react.
To the sea, Palestine will be free. Obviously, a question arises. Okay, what happens to the Jews in that scenario? And some people will say, well, all it's about is everybody being free. But that's not what the slogan says. So I have, in recent weeks, I have voiced my concern that it's a bad slogan. And I said, just change it, tweak it. From the river to the sea, one
Michael.
person, one vote, Palestinians will be free. And you can't answer that slogan because all you're talking about is equal rights for everyone. From the river to the sea, one person, one vote, Palestinians will be free. And I've encountered
I don't know if he actually means the one vote thing, because I think what he's saying is good in that. From the river to the sea, Palestinians will be free, which I think is good. You're laughing at Norm.
Routinely talked at campus encampments, college campus, Palestinian encampments as to, I'm not going to make much hay about the slogan in general. There's plenty of other slogans.
Well, you're willing to listen to him, but when I say it, it becomes a big controversy. I'm not. It's not even my opinion. I have a
disagreement with him on that, and you're forgetting one key factor.
What's that?
Okay, you're forgetting one key factor. Norm Finkelstein still ultimately will always say, while I disagree with the slogan because I think it scares people, it ultimately does not matter, and I'm not going to stand in opposition to it. He doesn't say it's anti-Semitic.
When have I opposed
He doesn't
it?
say it is exterminationist.
When have I opposed
he says
it?
That's what people think.
When have I opposed it?
If you think that Norm Finkelstein would be in agreement with you in any way,
literally is
shape,
in
or form
agreement with
on
me.
any issue, please have a conversation with him.
He's literally in agreement with me, like verbatim.
Okay. No,
actually,
that's
even
great.
more.
You said it was anti-Semitic. Norm doesn't think it's anti-Semitic.
Hassan, do you
I
remember
want
me
you to
advocating
ask Norm
against it?
Finkelstein-
Do you
I
remember
want
me
you to ask
advocating
Norm
against it?
Finkelstein if he agrees with you on anything.
Sure, I'll ask Norm Finkelstein. Do you remember me denouncing that statement and saying people shouldn't say it?
I believe in our conversation.
No, it
you said
didn't happen.
was that-
You're lying.
You said it was anti-Semitic.
I said it's perceived that way by Jewish people. All right, let's move on. The Sabra tier list.
Norm
Now,
does not believe it's an anti-Semitic
very
slogan.
good. I'll ask him about it. Now, let me ask you about
Are you actually going to do that? Because that would be
Yes,
wonderful.
I'm going to talk to Norm.
Productive.
We'll have a great conversation about From the River to the Sea.
Is it? Wait, can I ask you a question?
No. It's my turn.
Okay,
You spoke,
go
and now
ahead.
it's my turn.
You know what? You go ahead.
Thank you.
All
I
right.
appreciate that. That's very gracious of you.
Well, I mean,
Okay, so I think wrapping up the sword conversation, now we're getting temperance for Hasan, and we're getting the Two of Cups for Ethan. And call me crazy, but it does seem, before Ethan got the temperance card, and I don't remember now who got Two of Cups. It might have been Ethan as well. So that might, if that was the case, then it won't matter. I mean, I guess, this is why, typically you're supposed to write everything down as it draws, and then that way you can look back or not smoke as much weed as I have so that my memory is just 100% on point. But regardless, we're getting a lot of twos. There's two boys arguing with each other. May not mean anything, right? What is 2 times 7? 14. 14, the temperance card, 2 times 7. Oh, isn't that crazy? 7. Hasan Piker's life number. Wow, look at that. But now that Hasan has the, temperance card, I think, it may have to do with the last point he was making that he was sort of correct on. And maybe Ethan is sort of losing a little bit of his swagger by bringing up this Norman Finkelstein clip as if it's a very relevant point. Like I said, it probably would have been good for Ethan to wrap it up around this point. I think Hasan looked really bad halfway through this conversation about the sword. And Ethan could have just taken that win with him. Say, look at that, Hasan unable to. He eventually does it but the Norman Finkelstein thing, I think, kind of ruined that momentum for him. Because even though, now I think it ruined his momentum when it comes to his argument, not the momentum that he currently has in this. Remember, he is the Wheel of Fortune. He is running the show. He is not. He's not really going to lose. I think he's going to win this whole thing. Not the hearts and minds of all the people, but I think this whole thing is not going to go well for Hasan. That's what I really believe, just based on this and all the drawings. But I think that Norman Finkelstein point that he was trying to make would have been a failure if Hasan was more just willing to listen to it in the first place. But Hasan being unable to do that, but being able to like just let Ethan play the clip and then make a comment on it. You know, if you guys watch a lot of debates, then you already know, yeah, fucking shut up and listen to the point and then respond to it. Don't get defensive. It's the worst thing you could possibly do. It's one thing if you want to be aggressive. I don't recommend it, but, you know, that's one thing. But to be defensive, don't play the Norm thing. I love Norm. Don't play the Norm. Then now everyone listening is already thinking, wait, what's Hasan's problem with this very short clip that Ethan's about to play? And then, you know, the point that Norman Finkelstein is making, to me, I think Hasan's very short response was actually a pretty good one. You know, just because, I mean, Norman Finkelstein might have a good point, but on Hasan's level, he's not going to be like heavily critical of the various college activists that he's working with or meeting with about the technicalities of the slogan. If you're involved in political activism, solidarity is kind of like the main goal. You want to show everyone you're on their side. You don't want to come in and say, hey guys, this quote that we're all chanting at this protest, we should actually try to slightly adjust it to the Norman Finkelstein model. You know, like, that's something you slip in at a meeting or among, you know, individuals that you're just talking to. It's not something that you can just somehow magically take over the entire movement with. And Norman Finkelstein would agree with that. You know, there's a time and a place to even make these points. On a random clip in an interview is where you make those points. You can't just show up to a protest that you're there to support for what everyone believes is a moral cause, to just have like little-ish technical issues with the rally cry for freedom. If Hasan wasn't so defensive, I think he could have actually, you know, nailed that point, and it probably would have greatly obstructed Ethan's momentum that he heavily built up from the entire conversation about the sword. Maybe the fact that they are very close together in the readings. They're Cancer and Leo right next to each other. I mean, this whole thing is just, it seems to be that these guys, their biggest flaw, their biggest conflict to their own relationship is the fact that they are very similar to each other. Just in the differences seem to make a world's difference, because otherwise they're very close. And I think maybe perhaps people could find a lot of similar situations like that in their own lives. You know, you might find it more difficult to be around a person who's a lot like you because they're minor differences that you find disappointing. It might make you think a little bit too much about yourself in a way that you don't like. It might make you think, ooh, that's cringe. It might make you look at yourself as cringe, right? I don't really see that necessarily in Hasan and Ethan's personal relationship, but there still seems to be a massive problem with the fact that they are very similar. They both are people who don't want to take the L. I think Ethan might be a little bit better at it only because he's more mature, and he also has a more centrist position. Hasan is an extremist who is also less mature and much more focused on his own look. So everything else is kind of not as important. But he's supposed to be a truth seeker. And a truth seeker will oftentimes become, you know, either a centrist or an extremist. Because if you're a truth seeker in the sense that you always want to hear every possible perspective, it's probably going to be difficult to attach yourself to one movement. But if you're also someone who's very concerned with how other people look at you, and you're also very concerned about the relationships you do have, and those kind of being above a lot of other ways of looking at things, then you might say, well, you know what? I've attached myself to this one perspective, so I'm just going to do everything I can to enhance my perspective on that thing. And I think that's where Hasan veered off in the truth seeker world. I mean, now these are things that he needs to balance, because in my once again, my bias is I'm in favor of Hasan's politics. I just think him as a person is very, very unbalanced, let's just say. And I think Ethan's very unbalanced as well. And his politics I don't agree with, but I don't, really disagree with either. I think they're very centrist takes, and they're not always that repugnant, right? The fear over what do we do about the Jewish population is not, it's an empathetic approach. It's a very, and in Ethan's sense, it's a communal approach. He's worried about his fellow Jewish people. And Hasan, on the other hand, doesn't really have the ability to relate to that perspective, despite the fact that Palestine are the victims in this whole matter. I mean, yeah, a lot of Palestinian people have already been kicked out of their homes. So you can understand the fear of being kicked out of your home. And I think that's where Ethan has his attachments. But he's not a truth seeker. He is a balanced person, though. He is doing his work to do that. But, once again, this man is more of a wheel of a fortune than he is a general, temperance 69 kind of guy. But he's life path 9, multiples of 3, 69. Come on, we are all right. So that'll be the end of part 1. I'm going to take a break and then get to part 2.
He come to me with money in his hand. He offered me. I didn't ask him. I wasn't knocking someone's door down. I was running from that. When I got out, I was in that. I was already through that. I had that. I had the studio. I went to the studio, went to Vox Studios. I had it all. And I looked at it and I said, this is a bigger jail than I just got out of. I don't want to take my time going to work. I got a motorcycle and a sleeping bag and 10 or 15 girls. What the hell I want to go off and go to work for? Work for what? Money? I got all the money in the world. I'm the king, man. I run the underworld, guy. I decide who does what and where they do it at. When am I going to run around and act like I'm some teeny bopper somewhere for somebody else's money? I make the money, man. I roll the nickels. The game is mine. I deal the cards.
I close my eyes and seize it. I clench my fists and beat it. I light my torch and burn it. I am the beast I worship. I close my eyes and seize it. I clench my fists and beat it. I light my torch and burn it. I am the beast I worship. And I know soon come my time when my mortar bells burn. But I did not determine. I'm taking past the point of no return. Wage war like no tomorrow, cause no hell there won't be one. For all who deny the struggle, the triumphant overcome. Strips away, few of them that up to there. On our winds, rise begin when the sun descends. If I were few will ever know, have seen the truth beneath the glow of the ebb and flow, where the roots of all mysteries grow. I am below, so far below the bottom line. Transmitting love, transmissions rise from the depths out of controlled love. Suspended glance and I'm blinking eyes. And when it gets cast on the path that runs, on the path I find, and claim is mine. Ride the way of unrest, made to make me shine as a testament to other ways of the blind will never get.